What is going on, everybody? This is the Father-Son Fantasy Football Podcast, and we hope you guys enjoyed our last episode of Wide Receivers Part 1. Dad, right?
Yes, how's everybody doing? I'm back. Last episode was Father's Day. There was a guy filling in for me. He was sampling a lot of craft beers from upstate New York, so I'm back. I hope you liked that guy last week.
Did you get kidnapped or something?
I don't know really what happened.
Well, I hope that happens during draft day.
All I'm saying, it was Father's Day.
It was Father's Day? That's good.
I hope everyone had a good Father's Day.
Yeah, so we're going to get we have a lot of wide receivers to go over today's episode. We're doing 16 to 30, plus some guys going outside of 30 that we're going to talk about. And they're really important because these are the guys that you're like, they're not going to be in the first 3 rounds. They're going to be after. These are the mid-round guys you're going to be looking at. We're going to tell you who we like and who we don't like. But before we get into that, breaking news, Jameis Winston's supposed to face a 3-game suspension. I think he's now almost undraftable if you're not in a Superflex league or 2 quarterback league. So single QB leagues, you're not drafting him. That's 3 games. He comes back, plays 1, and has a bye week. Gets 5 weeks basically unusable. So maybe Superflex league take him as your second or third quarterback and take him as a late backup because he's getting return value once he comes back. But I don't see him being used at all in the normal leagues.
What is wrong with these guys? Everybody's getting suspended doing stupid stuff all the time.
This is from 2 years ago.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It catches up with him eventually.
I mean, I don't know. It's just
Here, guys, we're looking forward to him this season, being healthy and everything, and then you go and hear this.
Boo, you suck.
That's what we had to say about Jameis Winston.
That's what we're going to say right now.
Yeah, but today we have a lot of wide receivers to get into, and we have a special guest coming on the show.
We're excited
We're going to
about
introduce
this,
him in a second. We're really excited to have him on the show. He's going to help go over all his wide receivers with us, and it should be a really good episode. We're going to try to get through a lot of wide receivers this episode, so make sure you listen, pay attention. We're going to spend a little more time on some guys than some others, but overall we're going to give you concise information and what we think, not drag on too long. There's a couple we may drag on about.
If we ever make it big, this guy, remember, he was the first guest on our show.
First guest on our show. Really excited to have him on. And once again, we have 2 5-star reviews to read from this week, so we appreciate you guys for writing it in. First off, Father-Son Fantasy Football Podcast is a great listen. The duo of Justin and Paul go really well together, and they both have a good knowledge about the sport. Not only that, but the entertainment value is there, too. I can't wait for more episodes to come this offseason to help me draft by Patrick. 5 stars. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you for the 5 stars.
Tyler Belowski. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. He said, great, fun, new podcast 2018. The banter back and forth is spot on. The toe of the line argument, plus the pullback altogether just in time. It's perfect. The new mics and bumper music adds a nice touch to the podcast. Keep up the great work, guys. 5 stars from him. Thank you. So once again, 5-star reviews. You write them in. We'll shout you out. We appreciate it. It helps the podcast out a lot. And it also helps the Listener League raffle. That's 5 entry points for both Patrick and Tyler Belowski. And YouTube, you leave a like and comment #subscriber league. It's 1 entry. And then make sure you're subscribed on iTunes, Google Play, or whatever podcast service you get your podcast from. Send that in to us. Let us know you're subscribed. That counts as a point. And we are also on Stitcher now. So if you don't have an Apple device, then you can go on Stitcher. Type in Father-Son Fantasy Football. You'll see us. We're right there. We have a new logo, Dad.
Yes, the new logo is good.
It looks nice and clean. I like it better than our old one. You can actually read it now. It's really good.
If you blow it up, you'll see the NFL players on the sides.
Yeah, you can see it on the side. Listen on your phone, too. And follow the Twitter, @FatherSonFF. That's a point, too, for the raffle.
Make sure you get them points for that league, too, because there's some guys out there who think they're automatically in.
Yeah, not automatically in. You got to enter the raffle points. And if you're listening to this on iTunes or anything, we're also on YouTube. Type in Father-Son Fantasy Football. We're growing on there, too. And, yeah, so we're going to get into this episode, and we're really excited to have him on. And we hope you guys enjoy. All right, and joining us today on the podcast is Justin Lonero from Diehards Fantasy. He's a host of the Diehards Fantasy podcast. What's up, Justin?
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome, Justin.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks for being
coming
on the show.
First guest. We're ready to get this underway. And first wide receiver we want to talk about is going 16th overall in the wide receivers, 11th pick, 3rd round in PPR, at least for 12 team, is Stefon Diggs. So, Dad, you want to kick it off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll start it off. I like Stefon Diggs this year. His best fantasy season of his career was last year. He had a career high in receptions and receiving yards. The only problem is staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, he should have a good year, especially with Cousins at quarterback. He's a guy loaded with talent. He gets a lot of volume. And I think he can get more targets just because of his separation. With Cousins there, he should be even better.
Yeah. Stefon Diggs my favorite wide receiver in the NFL, so I'm kind of biased here, but
Is he?
yeah, he is. I love Stefon Diggs. I don't know what it is about him or something about him, but he's 24 years old.
You take him
every year. I take him. I reach for him too. 24 years old, new QB in town. They doesn't have a report with Thielen or anyone else. I feel like he's gonna see he gets separation, target him a lot. 78.7% success rate against man coverage, leads all wide receivers. Antonio Brown's second with 78.5. Injuries are a little bit of a concern, but other than that, I don't see why he can't be a top 15 wide receiver this year, even wide receiver 1. Yeah.
What do you think, Justin? His favorite receiver?
Well, I mean, he's missed 8 games of the last 3 seasons. He's 24. I think there's room for concern in terms of there's a new quarterback in town, right? So there's an unclear rapport there. So, and there are mouths to feed, including Kyle Rudolph. I mean, we saw Kirk Cousins rely on Jordan Reed for a number of years. So I think Rudolph's the guy in fantasy circles that we want to have. But Diggs, like you said, injuries are a concern, but there's no reason why he can't have touchdowns. I want him as my wide receiver 1. Probably not. Am I comfortable as a wide receiver? Definitely, but there's certainly 15 wide receivers that I'm going to take over him tonight.
Yeah. So
there's some skepticism. Let's put it that way. And I think Adam Thielen is. You're going to take Thielen over him 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
But there's an unclear rapport, so we don't know who Cousins is going to lean on heading into Week 1.
Yeah. I agree, but I think it's an upgrading quarterback. I actually like Stefon Diggs over Thielen.
Oh, wow.
In this instance, just because of his deep ball threat and Cousins can throw the ball.
Yeah, I'm fine with either of them. And I think Diggs has got the upside too. Again, it's just the injuries and the unknown, and Dalvin Cook is going to do his thing too. So it'll be interesting to see how the game scripts go.
Especially with Dalvin Cook coming back, he's going to get a lot of passes also. So he'll take a little bit from Diggs. Like you said, he missed 8 games in 3 seasons. That's big. He's got to stay healthy.
Yep. He's only 24 though, so he's got some time.
Yes. All right. Next up, a guy who's jumped 4 spots in ADP since the Andrew Luck news came out that he threw a high school football is T.Y. Hilton. He's currently going 15th wide receiver, 9th pick, 3rd round. You can go first, Justin. What do you think about T.Y. Hilton this year?
I think his production is contingent upon the right arm of Andrew Luck, and saw what happened last year when Andrew Luck was not there. 4 touchdowns under 966 receiving yards. Look, T.Y. Hilton has shown us that he has top 12 or top 10 fantasy wide receiver, range. So, based on Andrew Luck's health, and T.Y. Hilton is going to go as Andrew Luck goes. But he's dipping. I think I got him in the 4th round in a magazine draft a couple weeks ago. You obviously want him in the 4th round.
Yeah.
But you're leaning on his upside because outside of T.Y., it's slim pickings at wide receiver in Indianapolis. I mean, Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle. Doyle had 80 receptions last year. It's thin. So T.Y. Hilton's healthy. Andrew Luck's healthy. You're getting a bargain. And I think T.Y. Hilton has to be a top 15 wide receiver at this point. You're getting as good as a discount as you've ever gotten with him.
Yeah, I got him 4th round in the best ball draft the other day. It's my 4th wide receiver. I was really happy about
Steal.
that. Yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. Over the past 5 seasons, he's averaged 16 fantasy points per game with Luck and 11.3 without. So like you said, it really depends if Andrew Luck's there and if it's the same Andrew Luck that we've had. That's what I think he's a steal in the 4th round right now. I'd take him in the late 3rd. What do you guys say?
I say the same. I agree with both of you. Even like Justin said, everything depends on if Luck returns. If Luck returns, his value, I think, goes up. I mean, look, last year he had his worst fantasy season. He fell for the first time under 1,000 yards in a while. So if Andrew Luck comes back, it's only going to help him. But everything depends on that.
Yeah.
I think he can get back to where he was in 2015. Yeah. If I remember, he had just under 1,500 yards back then.
Yeah, he didn't lead the league in
right, so everything depends on what Luck's doing.
Yeah. All right.
Yep, and we don't know. We don't know.
But he's throwing the ball now, so that's a good
sign.
High school
football to some some worker.
I don't care if he's throwing a Nerf football. He's throwing the ball, so that's a good sign.
That's true. He does look like he's in better shape, too.
Yeah, he looks ripped.
He does. Next up, currently going 17 wide receivers, 5th pick, 4th round, Allen Robinson. I'm going to have my dad go first on this one because I know Justin and I are really high on Allen Robinson this year.
I mean, he's got massive upside. He's in a pass-first offense, but you got to remember, he missed all last year with a torn ACL. The year before that, he's another guy who had 1,400 yards. He had 80 receptions, 14 touchdowns. I mean, I look for him to have a good year this year. There's a lot of mouths to feed there, but they're a pass-first offense.
Yeah, he's my comeback player of the year, 100%. He's a target hog, I believe, in this offense. I think they're actually going to use him correctly, unlike Jacksonville, and actually have game plans for him. He should be 100%. If Mitch takes another step forward with this new offensive coordinator, head coach Nagy, then I think Robinson could be a wide receiver 1 this year.
Okay.
And be low in wide receiver 1. I'm okay with having him as my wide receiver 1 in the 3rd round, even 4th round, where taking running back heavy early on. So I'm all in on Allen Robinson this year. I think the Bears are going to be down a little bit more than expected, so they're going to be looking to throw a lot.
Yep.
He's 25 years old.
Yeah, 25 years old.
We saw what he was able to do with Blake Bortles in Jacksonville 2015, 14 touchdowns, 1,400 receiving yards. He's coming off an ACL, so obviously that's room for concern. It's not his finger.
Yeah.
But he's going to eat in Chicago. Who is Mitchell Trubisky? A lot of industry colleagues, including Mike Clay and Dave Richard, were saying last night on my podcast that they like the Chicago Bears. We hear that a lot. I mean, they're going to be down in a lot of games, which the game script will favor Allen Robinson. He's 6'3". He's the clear-cut 1 on that team. I do like Anthony Miller and Trey Burton in terms of pass catchers, but Robinson is the clear-cut 1. Again, the unknown. He's relocated, but comfortably, I have Allen Robinson inside the top 18, and that's not going to change too much.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
I have him at 19, so
right there. All right. Next up, going 18, he's jumped a little bit in his wide receiver ADP, 7th pick, 4th round, Demaryius Thomas out of Denver. New quarterback this year. I think he's a value. He's going pretty low, probably lowest we've seen Demaryius Thomas go in most recent years, 18th wide receiver up the board. He was playing with Trevor Siemian last year, who was a QB rating on throws to wide receivers 59.2, which is the 2nd worst. He's getting a little bit of an upgrade with Keenum, which is 95.6, which is 11th out of 36. He hasn't missed a game since 2011. Keenum's going to probably go to him all the time, and unless he keeps rising in ADP, I'm going to probably take him as a value in the 4th round late. Why not?
Yeah,
all day.
Since Manning retired, he's been doing nothing but going backwards. Even though he had bad QB play, he was still pretty consistent. So I look at the upgrade with Case Keenum. I should get him back to good numbers. Yeah. So I'm high on Demaryius Thomas myself. I think you can get him at good
I'm going to take him all day there.
All day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he doesn't. DT is a guy that does not miss games, and we like that. If you look back at the numbers over the last 6 or 7 years, I mean, he's just about a 90 reception wide receiver, over 1,000 yards. His touchdowns we don't love what he does in terms of TDs. He's always right around 5 or 6, but he's a target hog, 140 to 150 targets. 2015, 177. Keenum's an upgrade. I mean, you had a couple of clowns in Denver with, he drafted Paxton Lynch and of course, Brock Osweiler, the giraffe there, and Travis. I mean, that's going to be agonizing. He did some good things with Tim Tebow, who's no Joe Montana, but DT does not get the love that he deserves, and it irritates the sugar out of me.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is very similar to Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah. This time of year, people gravitate towards sexy, and DT has fallen out of the sexy range, and Fitz has too.
Yeah. I've had DT last 2 years. He's definitely not a sexy play, but he'll give you those decent 10 points per week at least, and you'll
yeah.
He's not sexy at all. He's very
Even like we said, with bad QBs, he still has consistent numbers. Just the touchdowns are a little low.
Yeah.
And he stays on the field, and we like that. He plays every game. He's a grinder. I mean, again, new quarterback, so Emmanuel Sanders could be a steal a couple of rounds later.
I like Emmanuel Sanders, too.
I'd probably take a discount on him over taking the discount on DT, maybe.
I'm with you there, Justin.
Yeah. All right. Next up, 19th wide receiver off the board, 8th pick, 4th round, JuJu Smith-Schuster. I want to spend a little more time on this guy because I like him, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a breakout player or a bust. I'm recently leaning towards bust a little bit. Justin, you can go first on JuJu.
I mean, he caught 58 of 79 targets last year. We know who's going to eat in Pittsburgh, and Lev Bell is going to touch the ball close to 400 times, and AB is going to probably lead the league in receiving. But who is JuJu Smith-Schuster? They drafted a kid who's going to have a role there. Martavis Bryant's out of the question. Todd Haley is in Cleveland now. James Washington. I said they drafted a kid. I should be a little more specific. A big question mark for JuJu because there are some mouths to feed in Pittsburgh. I view him as I think he's fine in terms of 25. I might have him in the 25 to 30 range. There are other wide receivers that I like more than him, but I mean, he missed 2 games, 58 receptions, 917 yards, and 7 TDs. Those are not bad numbers, for year one. He's young. He's got a borderline Hall of Fame QB in Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's probably going to Canton. Yeah. So, hey, look, that offense is going to go. He's going to be option 3 on that offense. So I'm cool with him. Am I doing cartwheels when it's time to draft JuJu Smith-Schuster? No. There are players like Corey Davis and Brandin Cooks that I'll lean towards more, but Schuster's a top 25, 30 guy for me tonight.
Last year, Martavis Bryant was inactive for 1 game, and he saw 32.3% of the targets in that 1 game. It's a small sample size, but there it is. And then he averaged 15.5 PPR points per game, and that would have ranked in between Julio Jones and Adam Thielen on a per-game basis if you extrapolate it all. I don't know. I feel like Nelson Aguilar had 0.3 targets more per game, and he's going 60 picks later. I mean, I'm not saying it's the same player, but I think you're drafting JuJu Smith-Schuster at his ceiling right now, and I wouldn't really want to waste a late 4th-round pick on a guy where I can get a better value later in the draft. But JuJu Smith-Schuster, if your league awards points for touchdown celebrations, I'm first-round pick. Simple as that. What do you got to say about him, Dad?
I don't have much on him. I don't think the volume's going to be there. Most of his catches were in the second half. The first half of the season he struggled, but he had a great second half. I mean, he'll have a decent year. He was best among wide receivers at 11.6 yards per catch, which is pretty good. But he lacked in the targets, so I don't think the volume's going to be there this year.
Yeah, I mean, Big Ben historically hasn't been able to support 2 top 24 wide receivers. I think if any year was it to actually happen, it would be this year because you have Antonio Brown and JuJu. But we'll have to wait and see. It's kind of a question mark, but I'd rather not take him and get someone else at that spot.
Right.
Next agreed.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. He's going 9th pick, 4th round, 1 behind JuJu Smith-Schuster. I think he is the post-hype breakout. I think last year everyone was really high on him, and it didn't pan out that well in the first half of the season. And I trust him this year. John Gruden says he's going to use him. I guess there's just coach talk, but he's going to get his targets. Wide receiver 1 upside. He scored 4 times in the final 5 games before getting injured. Crabtree's gone. I think he could probably get used in the slot sometime this year, which may help him out. Nelson's there, which I think helps him out more and hurts him. And, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm in on Amari Cooper this year.
I'm staying away.
Oh. Why are you staying away?
I'm just staying away. He drops the ball a lot. He really didn't do much last year. He had a struggle in the year. He did have 7 touchdowns after 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons before that. I mean, they cut Crabtree, like you said. Bryant's going to be suspended. That's going to help him a little bit. It's also going to help Jordy Nelson. I'm staying away.
Yeah.
Like I said, he drops the ball. There you go. Yeah. He had a bad year last year. He could recover this year, but we'll have to wait and see. Bryant definitely being suspended will help him.
No love for Amari Cooper.
No,
Not for him. No. For me, yeah. I mean, I'm all in.
He's young. He's polished. He has a Derek Carr who's played with. I mean, this is a kid. He's kind of like Brandin Cooks. He's young. This will be year 4 for Amari Cooper. So he's got the experience. So you add Jordy Nelson into the equation, and obviously Martavis Bryant's one of the biggest knuckleheads we've seen in a while. I think there's some mental illness there, so I don't want to rag on him too much. But look, Cooper is he was polished coming out of Alabama, no question about it. And it's encouraging that John Gruden said he was going to be a focal part of this offense, and I believe him. The drops are a part of the business. It's terrible because that's his job to catch the football. But when you're targeted 130 times and peppered, it's something that, age. He's a young kid. He's learning, and he was thrusted into a role. But this relationship with Derek Carr goes a long way. I mean, there's stability. They work out together. There's that I like to use nonverbal communication. And I think that these two have a bright future. Meaning Derek Carr and Cooper have a bright future ahead of them. I'm fine with Amari Cooper as a top 15 to 20 wide receiver, but based on what he did last year, So I'm optimistic. I am a Amari Cooper. I'm not going to give up on it. In fact, I'm not quick to give up on too many people. I want to see more. There's a reason why the Raiders drafted him as early as they did. He's a talent, so we'll see.
And another thing people keep saying is Michael Crabtree was a better wide receiver there than Amari Cooper. That was the big debate last season. And then over the past 3 years, Amari Cooper's had 10 wide receiver 1 finishes, and Crabtree's only had 9. But Cooper did have way more duds, so I guess that negates it. But he'll have those big weeks, which fantasy football, it's a weekly game, so it definitely helps.
Sure.
Next up, a guy I don't even want to talk about this year, but he's going 21st. It's Alshon Jeffery. First pick, 5th round. I am not a fan. I think Ertz is going to get his targets, and Jeffery just flat out can't catch. He is like a 56% catch rate, I believe it is. He's just awful. He also had torn rotator cuff surgery of the offseason, but it didn't seem to be bothering him that much, so I'm not that concerned about that. But he's never been a really big target guy and never a big yards guy, and his touchdowns is meh. I don't know. I feel like people are just living off the past on him. I'm not going to buy him this year, but I don't know. That's just me. What do you guys say?
Hey, go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. Okay. I think he's going to need to get more targets. He's another guy who missed 11 games in the past 3 years. But how about this? This stat is why I'm staying away from him. With any wide receiver who had at least one target last year, Alshon Jeffery is 168th out of 211.
Yeah, he's not. He can't catch the ball, and also injuries with Alshon Jeffery are never a good thing. When he's on the Bears, there's always just nagging injuries, and he always kept them out for so long. And your best trait is your availability, and if you're not available, then what are you gonna do on my bench? I'm not wasting a 5th round pick on a guy who, 1, doesn't catch the ball well, and 2, sucks.
But for a guy who had 57 receptions, he still finished in the top 20. Yeah. I believe. That's pretty good. That's a good stat. But I'm staying away. What do you think, Justin?
He had 9 touchdowns, so that kind of offset, the lack of receptions and yardage. But outside Alshon Jeffery and Nelson Aguilar, there's not a wide receiver course there. So, we like Zach Ertz. We're now paying the Zach Ertz premium. We haven't had to do that. You're lumping him in with Kelsey and right. Obviously under Gronk. But I think Justin's right. I mean, Alshon Jeffery has shown to be of course, the injuries are a big part of his story. He might be a 60 reception wide receiver. The touchdowns were spiked a little bit. He got some lucky TDs. I'm kind of on the fence with Jeffery. I like Nelson Aguilar later on. Yeah. To be honest, I think he can provide similar upside, and you're getting a discount.
Aguilar also had more red zone targets than Alshon Jeffery last year. That's a big thing. So touchdowns you can't really predict. So I think last year he's definitely due for some negative regression.
Right.
All right. Next up, a guy who's going to be on another episode of this Golden Tate. He's currently going as a 22nd wide receiver in this offense, and I don't understand. He's had 90-plus catches in the last 4 years with the Lions. He's Stafford's go-to guy. Yes, Galladay there. Yes, Marvin Jones is there. But everyone keeps overlooking Golden Tate every year in and year out. He always finishes top 15. So he's as consistent as they come. and I absolutely love Golden
I couldn't
Tate.
disagree with you more.
Okay.
Marvin Jones is the guy to own there.
Marvin Jones is a touchdown guy.
Galloway stays healthy, he's another one. Marvin Jones is a guy. I'm staying away from Golden Tate. You can take him all day long.
His half PPR finishes with the Lions are wide receiver 15, 19, 26, and 13. He's going 22nd right now. I don't see how you can't take a guy right there. He's more of a value than a breakout, in my opinion. That's what I meant to say.
He's another guy who lacks touchdowns. He had 5 last year.
Yeah, he gets 5. Touchdowns are unpredictable.
If Galloway stays healthy, he's going to steal some from him. Marvin Jones is the guy there. I would take Marvin Jones all day long over Golden Tate.
All right, Justin, what do you got to say about this whole Golden Tate debate?
Well, they were both top 15 wide receivers in PPR last year. And Golden Tate is a high volume receiver, so he's showing us he's going to catch 90 balls, and Marvin Jones is not that, but he's a higher touchdown guy. To me, it's Golden Tate. It's really not even close. In fact, somebody DM'd me on Twitter the other day, a third shift guy. He said he was drinking, but he was asking me, and he was keen on Marvin Jones too. This might have been yesterday. I'm drunk right now, but I want for some reason I want to talk about the Lions and Golden Tate, Marvin Jones. I mean, people still play in standard leagues, and I respect that. But the nature of the business is mostly PPR. Most leagues I'm familiar with, and a lot of industry folks play in PPR league. And Golden Tate is one of these guys. He's Julian Edelman. Yeah. He's Jarvis Landry. He's a lock for 120, 125 targets and 90 receptions. We want that way. He's not a guy that's going to score 10 touchdowns, unfortunately, but there aren't a lot of wide receivers that can catch 90 balls every year. Golden Tate is one of them. Now, in terms of Kenny Golladay, the buzz is real, and it was real this time last year. I was high on Kenny Golladay coming out of college. Yeah. He was an older rookie, bit bigger wide receiver. We like that. I think people miss Calvin Johnson quite a bit in Detroit. Eric Ebron's out now. The backfield is quite a bit of a committee, but the Lions' offense is going to go, and I think that Golden Tate is going to be Golden Tate. And history says he's going to play 16 games, catch 90 passes, be right around 1,000 yards, and have 5 touchdowns. And I'm fine with that as my wide receiver 2. Oh, yeah. And there's going to be weeks where he's a wide receiver 1, and I, like you said, Justin, I mean, you want to almost lump him in with. He's certainly not Larry Fitzgerald. We're not going to insult Larry Fitzgerald. No. And we're not going to insult Demaryius Thomas, but Golden Tate has the numbers tell all, and what they say is 90 catches, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'm cool with that, based on what we have to pay for him. Yep. Yeah, consistency.
5th round, a guy who can finish his top 15 with those targets. Like, you have that baseline every week in.
All day.
I'm not as good as
all
Marvin
day long.
Jones.
I'm not saying Marvin Jones isn't good. I'm just saying
I'm going to give you both one stat. I'm going to give you both one stat.
Let's hear the stat.
Marvin Jones had 30 less catches, and he had more yards than Golden Tate and more touchdowns.
All right. Mm-hmm. Year to year. We'll see.
Can you tell?
His go-to
I
guy
love Marvin Jones.
Yeah, we know you love Marvin Jones. That's why we can't trade him in our dynasty league, because you have like a man crush on him.
I just love what he did last year. I mean, can he repeat that?
So high.
I don't know.
23rd wide receiver off the board, Brandin Cooks, the guy you were talking about earlier. Justin, I'm going to have you lead off for Brandin Cooks. What do you got to say about him?
Didn't work out too well in New England. It was a short visit. 65 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 7 TDs. The kid's been lucky. I mean, he gets drafted. He gets to play with Drew Brees the first 2 seasons of his career. He's solid. I know that he's worked in the offseason with Antonio Brown quite a bit. They're similar in stature, so footwork is something that Cooks has tried to work on. And anytime you associate yourself with Antonio Brown, you're doing the right thing.
One thing I gotta say about that was last offseason, Terrell Pryor worked out with Antonio Brown, and I was all hyping him up.
Oh, I know. No, he was. That is a story in itself. That Terrell Pryor, it's just a testament how long the offseason is, and how we go stir crazy. But back to Brandin Cooks. I mean, Cooks is similar to Amari Cooper in the sense where this is going to be year 4 for Brandin Cooks. He's 24 years old, polished wide receiver, but you've had Drew Brees, Tom Brady, now Jared Goff, who we like, because we like Sean McVay and what he's done in Los Angeles. There's quite a bit of mouths to feed in Los Angeles, but Cooks has got the upside. So anytime you want, Mike Clay was on my show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about Robert Woods and Cooks, and I think he leaned Robert Woods, which is just kind of like Robert Woods to me is like the Alex Smith of wide receivers. You know what he is. Like Cooks has that upside, but of course Cooper Kupp is there as well. But I like for the price that we're going to pay for Brandin Cooks, I'm cool with him for sure. If he is used properly, and we don't know, he's relocated, but he can be a top 15 wide receiver easily.
Yeah, this is a third different team in 4 years. That's crazy for a young guy to have that much mileage on him, I guess you could say. But he doesn't need targets to produce. He's never had over 130 targets in the season, so I'm not worried about that in this offense.
Right. Right.
The only thing that concerns me is that I think the Rams are going to regress a little bit, and they also talk about using Gurley more in the passing game, which could limit even more volume. But I don't, like I said, he doesn't need 20% of the target share to produce. He'll get his numbers still.
Yep.
I don't know about his draft price right now going into 5th round. I think it's at more as like near ceiling, I guess, not like an absolute floor. So that kind of like you're almost drafting him, expecting him to get 6-7 touchdowns, which I think is definitely in his realm of possibilities. But
oh yeah,
I don't know how this offense is going to incorporate him. And Watkins left, so I guess he fills the Watkins role. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Cooper Kupp's going to the 2nd year. I like Cooper Kupp this year a lot as a value later on. Dad, what do you guys say about him?
Well, I agree with both of you. And like Justin said, there's a lot of mouths to feed there with Woods and Kupp. But you look at the last 3 years, he's had over 1,000 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns, and he's been a top 15 fantasy guy. So I don't know, his targets might dip a little bit, but I still like his upside there. Yeah. New team, new quarterback. I'm surprised it didn't work out with Brady, but
yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting how that works. Don't ask me how it works. And I'm 15 miles from Gillette Stadium. It's crazy that if you can't comprehend the playbook, New England, you're going to find your way out. And there's some turmoil, from what I understand, in New England. So the beginning of the end is near, gentlemen. I don't know if you guys are Bills fans or what, but
Giants fans. Oh yeah.
I don't know if you were upstate. All right. Yeah. Well, the Giants are going to be a fun team to watch this year. But anyways, the Patriots are going to be. It's not too far away. It breaks my heart to say this. They're not that far away from being a 9 or 10 win a 9-win team again. So it's like a soap opera.
I don't think they're going to be that good this year.
No, this year they got Brady still. Dad, you can't be doing that. What do you mean?
I don't know. They're not going to be as good as they were last year.
Do you know who's in the division?
I know. Well, that's the thing there. I mean, hey, you guys are Giants fans. You can twice. We know. I know what happened twice. So
yeah, I'm not going to bring that up.
But it's not going to be that way for
my other New England fans. Know that too. The only guy to beat him is Eli and the Giants.
And now Nick Foles.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Next wide receiver, Jarvis Landry. He's going to 25th wide receiver now. Marvin Jones is jumped ahead of him. We're talking about Jarvis Landry first. Very target dependent, I believe. Yeah. Better offense than Miami this year, I believe, with Cleveland. Josh Gordon is there. You're high on Josh Gordon, Justin. He's currently going as the 12th wide receiver off the board, 5th round. No, 3rd round, 5th pick. I'm not taking him there. I like Josh Gordon a lot, but that's at his ceiling, I believe. The offense, it could be run first. There's competition for targets. You have Duke Johnson, Josh Gordon, David Njoku, and the QB situation does kind of scare me, but once it becomes stable, he'll be able to report with, I think he's going to get his targets. They did pay him a lot of money, and money does talk. But I'm probably not taking Jarvis Landry. That's just me. All right, Justin, what do you guys say about that?
I mean, we talk about Golden Tate, and again, I think of like 3 players in that kind of the same mold in the NFL, and Landry, Golden Tate, and Edelman, they fill the same role. And, for the Browns, like you mentioned a bunch of names. I mean, Duke Johnson's going to have 70 receptions. Josh Gordon, who I've made numerous bets with Brad Evans. I mean, guys like Mike Clay. I mean, people are high on Josh Gordon, and I think that they're high to be that high on Josh Gordon. But because we don't know what Josh Gordon exactly is. I mean, he had one good year, well, one unreal year, I should say, and everybody has that he's just going to bounce back. He's ripped another guy. We look at the tape. Wow, look at him. It's like, he's at a zoo, and we're looking at this beautiful lion. Wow, look at Josh go. Guess what? It's the NFL, and everybody looks good in shorts. So, then you incorporate Antonio Callaway, who could have been the most talented wide receiver in this class. Character issues. That no surprise there. That a number of these guys have character issues, but tight end David Njoku is going to be involved. So there's talk about mouths to feed. Like, I like Jarvis Landry. I think they opened up their checkbook for him. Is he going to have 100 receptions? Probably not, but I think he's a safe bet to catch 80, and I like him. 80 sounds okay, but 80 is going to be quite a dip considering he's averaged right around 100 over the last 3 seasons. So, but he might have that fat cat syndrome now too. So he's been paid, and the incentive to perform well, we've seen that happen. So I don't know that Landry's going to catch 100 balls in Cleveland. I think 80 is fine, and I think he's a damn good wide receiver too in fantasy circuits. But he's definitely not going to be in my one anywhere.
No, yeah, I agree with that. What do you got to say about Jarvis Landry? Something quick.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, he's seen a lot of targets in Miami. I don't think he's going to get even close to that in Cleveland. Tyrod Taylor is going to be your starting quarterback there.
Week 1.
He's going to be there more than week 1.
Yeah. Baker's not impressing, apparently.
No, I'm not high on Baker anyway. I don't know why they took him, but we'll save that for another time. But I do like Jarvis Landry, but I just don't think his volume's going to be there like it was in Miami.
All right.
You don't like Baker? Talk about Baker?
No, I don't like Baker.
Why not that?
He's like Johnny Manziel. He's a head case. He's got talent, but I don't know.
I think he's a dink. I got you.
All right. Next up, Dad, you can go first. Your guy you just raved about, Marvin Jones.
Oh, I already talked about Marvin Jones.
He finished top 12 last year. Touchdown upside's there. All lines better, which means more time to throw, possible deeper balls. He's the third best wide receiver at contested catches, 51.4% contested catch rate. That he's really good at that, and I think he's gonna get more of those opportunities. I'm not doubting Marvin Jones this year. I'm just saying, Tate. They're both good values this year, in my opinion. Like, Stafford has produced 2 top 24 wide receivers in the last 3 out of the last 4 years. I don't see why this year's any different. With Galladay there, maybe he busted into some of his targets, but this offense I'm high on for fantasy purposes.
Well, I'm high on Marvin Jones. Okay, you already know that, but he's going to have to repeat what he did last year. I don't know if he's going to do that, but last year he saw 107 targets. He caught a touchdown every 11.9 targets. That's almost double of any other wide receiver.
It's not sustainable.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the numbers are going to be there this year. But he's still going to be great. The thing is, with Galloway there, when Galloway was out, he's seen 10.2 targets when he was out.
Most of the season.
When Galloway was there, he's seen 5.1 targets. So now Galloway's back healthy, so we'll have to wait and see.
And guess whose targets don't dip? Tate. Justin, what do you got to say about Marvin Jones?
You guys are going to back.
Well, history tells us anything. He's a 100-target guy. I mean, 100 targets is not a lot. So I think some of his production going back to Cincinnati was contingent upon his touchdown production, which we've agreed that is unpredictable. I think Marvin Jones is what Marvin Jones is, and his ceiling is probably 65 receptions, right around 1,000 yards, and his range of touchdown could be anywhere from 4 to 10. So am I comfortable with him? Not really. Do we know what Matt Stafford's going to do? Yeah, that's their identity. They're going to throw the football. Yeah. But as we said earlier, I'm 99 out of 100 times I'm going to take Golden Tate over Marvin Jones, just based on getting fed.
Don't do it.
You want to make a bet, Dad? You want to make a bet, Dad? Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, more fantasy points? I'll make a bet with you.
Put it on the table.
Put it on the table. Write it down.
That's another bet.
I say Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones has less fantasy points than Golden Tate, so you can write that down later.
Even though he didn't see the targets, I'm just going to say this: he's still one of the league's best deep threats. That's why he's got a lot of yards.
That's the catch is really good.
He's talented, no question. But for them to finish how they finished it last season, what was it, 12 and 13 respectively? 12 and 13. So I think that's going to be tough to repeat. But again, Matt Stafford's going to sling the rock. So
what they do.
I agree with you. It's going to be tough to repeat. It is definitely going to be tough to repeat, but I just love Marvin Jones.
All right. Next up, Michael Crabtree, new team this season, Ravens. He's going as 27th wide receiver. We're skipping Chris Hogan. We'll get to him in a second. 4th pick, 6th round. Justin, how do you feel about Michael Crabtree? I saw you tweeting about him earlier today. I think we're gonna have a little bit of a disagreement here, but you go ahead.
Well, we like what he did in Oakland, right? I mean, Amari Cooper got all the shine and all the glamour and the glitz, and when in actuality, Michael Crabtree was a staple for what Derek Carr was doing. Joe Flacco is a absolute stiff, and the inability to move the football is going to be funny to watch, I should say. So where Michael Crabtree is getting older, and at his price, I like Michael Crabtree as being the clear-cut one in Baltimore. Joe Flacco's not going to throw the ball down the field a ton anymore. He's just a little dinking and dunking, which will serve Michael Crabtree well. So in fact, at Michael Crabtree's price or where we're paying for him, I'm fine. He's shown us what he can do. He showed us what he could do in San Francisco. Showed us what he could do in Oakland. Again, Joe Flacco is a stiff, but his limited capabilities will benefit Michael Crabtree, and I can definitely see Michael Crabtree catching over 70 passes, close to 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns, and getting him at a bargain.
I'm going to agree with you there on everything you said.
Oh my! All right, you get asked
I liked him in Oakland. I love him moving to Baltimore, where you say he's going to be the number 1 receiver there. I like him there. That's all I can say.
All right, yeah, I loved him in Oakland. I do not like him at all in Baltimore. Flacco's never supported a wide receiver 1, but you're not drafting him to be a wide receiver 1.
Right.
There's a little bit of competition for targets there. You got Snead brought in, John Brown, but I'm not too concerned about that. I think his ceiling's a wide receiver 2, and that's mainly because of Flacco. Their offensive coordinator, Marty Moorhenweg, whatever his name is, his last 90-catch player was Brian Westbrook in 2007, and his last 90-catch wide receiver was Terrell Owens in 2000. I don't see him being a high-volume guy. I loved him in Oakland, but I'd rather take guys who are going after him ahead of him. Like, there's guys like Pierre Garcon and Sammy Watkins. There's just 2 guys right there I'd rather have over Michael Crabtree this year.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Chris Hogan, 26 wide receiver off the board. Let's have the Patriots fan, I guess. You go first, Justin.
Chris Hogan is what he is. He's another one of the guys in New England, right? I mean, that's just how it goes. Brandin Cooks is out of the equation. Danny Amendola's with Miami. Julian Edelman's looking at a suspension. But there's players like Kenny Britt and Malcolm Mitchell that are there. So Hogan's going to have a role. I'll say that. But what the numbers say, and the numbers don't say much, that he's going to catch 35 passes. He's going to miss a couple games. So in DFS, which my show is sponsored by DraftKings, there'll be weeks where we like Chris Hogan and say in a tournament or something like that to differentiate ourselves from the crowd. But I don't find a necessity in owning Chris Hogan. I don't think he's going to knock our socks off. So there's so many question marks in New England. Who's going to get the football? Whose week is it going to be? Where New England's one of these situations outside of Rob Gronkowski and a healthy Julian Edelman. It's anybody's guess, and especially the backfield as well. So I could care less about Chris Hogan. He interests me not. And there's people in his range like the Marquise Lee or Kenny Stills, Nelson Aguilar. I mentioned that I'll gobble up all day before Chris Hogan.
Yeah, they're going way later than him. Chris Hogan, 8 games, posted 33 catches, 438 yards, 5 touchdowns, and that was 13.3 fantasy points per game. You extrapolate that, it would have been wide receiver 21 in fantasy points per game, 1 spot behind Mike Evans if he stayed healthy. That's the if. Cooks is gone. Edelman suspended. Those first 4 weeks, he's a good option. You could probably win you weeks, those first 4 weeks, and he has that big play potential. Brady hits those guys deep, but his draft price is rising because of the Edelman suspension, and I don't know if I'm willing to pay up for that. In our best ball draft, I got him in like the 8th round, and I'm not going to complain about that. So I'll take Chris Hogan in the 8th round if he falls that far, but he's going to continue rising to early 5th round, probably late 4th round now.
Yeah, I'm not paying for his price there either.
Yeah.
I think he's the biggest winner there when they traded away Cooks. With Edelman's suspension, it'll help him a little bit, but I'm not paying the price.
Jordan Matthews is a name that is going to. You can get Jordan Matthews at a bargain now, and what he did in Philadelphia was pretty impressive. Right around 80 reception receiver. Yeah. There's a lot of buzz that he's showing up to the field early. A 6'3" slot guy. I think the organization likes him, but too early to tell if it's a comprehensive playbook in New England. If you can't understand it, then good luck. Just ask Chad Johnson how that worked out.
Not to get off the subject, but you think they're going to go to a one running back?
No. Oh no! I mean, I like to call it eeny meeny miny mo. Yeah. Because you just don't know what the hell is the situation is. I find it interesting that they drafted Sony Michel, who I do like, and I think that he'll fit into what Dion Lewis, who is now in Tennessee, did. And Dion Lewis has a special place in my heart. But talk about Rex Burkhead. Yeah. Guys like Evan Silva have been touting him for weeks. James White's a 50-60 reception running back. Okay. It'll be interesting to see who makes the final roster, but there are going to be 3 to 4 running backs every week that get the football. And I think Sony Michel is the guy that's going to get the ball the most. But again, our guess is as good as anybody's with the Pats. But it's interesting you asked me that because LeGarrette Blount was a bull cow for a while in New England, and we saw players like Corey Dillon. So it's a week-to-week game script, and it's whatever Bill wants to do, and that's just how it goes. He doesn't care about our football team.
I like to stay away from all New England running backs. Last year I took Gillisley. He scored 3 touchdowns the first week. I was so happy, and what a disappointment the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Terrible.
All right, let's go on to the other New England wide receiver, Edelman. He's continuing to drop a little bit. He's still going 10th pick, 6th round. If he falls to like the 8th, 9th round, I may take him. But when he is back, he is Brady's go-to guy, I believe, other than Gronk.
Oh, yeah.
He's gone 20 months without playing a game. He's 32 years old. Torn ACL, hard to recover. Probably don't know how he's going to come back from that. I'm proceeding with caution, but if you can have 3 or 4 wide receivers before him, so you go wide receiver heavy, have him as your 5th wide receiver, you play a matchup in that flex spot, why not? But I'm probably staying away from him if he's continuing going in the 7th round. So.
Yeah, he's going to miss a couple games, so I'm probably staying away too. He's good, but he never finished better than 18th in fantasy points.
Yeah.
But he catches a lot of balls. He's Brady's number 1 man outside of Gronk when he's on the field.
Yep. 32. Repaired ACL. This is a guy that I've used on special teams. He has as good as a relationship with Tom Brady as I've seen anybody have with Tom Brady. So that's encouraging. But he's missed games over the course of his career. If he comes back now he's got this suspension coming. It's been a bunch of negativity in New England since the Super Bowl. So I think if you can get Julian Edelman at the right price, then you take him because he's capable of catching. Even if he misses 4 games, he's still he could catch 70 balls. So and we're fine with that.
Yeah, I mean that's 70 to 80 balls in the 8th round if he keeps dropping. Like, okay.
Yep, I'll agree with that.
Yep.
All right, next up, a guy you love, Justin, a guy I'm probably staying away from in drafts. He's going as the 28th wide receiver off the board. Is Corey Davis, Tennessee Titans. The hype is there, but like personally, I'd rather have Rashard Matthews at his price than taking Corey Davis here. I like Corey Davis a lot. He's fun to watch when he's healthy and everything. Mariota is one of my guys I'm really high on this year. New offensive coordinator, new head coach. More pass happy, but I'd rather have Rashard Matthews at the discount he is because Rashard Matthews is not going away. So until Rashard Matthews does go away, I'm not taking Corey Davis. Rashard Matthews is going in the 12th round right now. So what do you guys say, Justin?
I'm with you on Mariota. I think he's got it all in terms of when you look at an NFL quarterback and where the offense has changed with Matt LaFleur being there. It's encouraging because it's been a smash mouth team, and it's nice that they have Derrick Henry and they've used Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis. I think Corey Davis is one of these names where we talk about the offseason being long, and we were talking about Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree being the better of the two, where Cooper's been the sexier two names. I mean, we might have that here. Corey Davis. He's a very special wide receiver coming out of college. We don't know who he is at the NFL level. Matthews has been around the block. He's got a little bit of a rapport with Marcus Mariota, and you're getting him later. So why wouldn't you go Matthews? I think just optimism is there for Corey Davis, again, from a talent standpoint. But, it's dicey. But it is encouraging that the offense has changed. They're going to open up the playbook. Marcus Mariota is going to throw the football. Of course, Delanie Walker is a top 7 or 8 tight end. We know he's going to do his thing, even at close to 35 years old. Give me some CD, but I'm not going to be fully invested in him. And I tend to agree with you in terms of Rashard Matthews. He's not going to – Matthews isn't a guy that's going to knock your socks off either. But I think he's a 55 reception wide receiver, 750, 800 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So I'm fine having him as my wide receiver 5, where you're going to have to pay for Corey Davis as your wide receiver 3, and the unknown is just too much for me. But I'll have him in a couple spots. See Corey Davis is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get that. Like, if he falls in the I'll take him. Like I said that about Corey Davis.
Yeah, I think he has potential for a good season. I mean, he missed 5 games last year because of hamstring issues, but he really didn't produce until playoff time, so I think the potential's there. We'll just have to see. Wait and see.
All right.
He's one of the sexier names in the NFL.
He's very young. Is he 6'4"? Is he?
Yeah, 6'3", 6'4", yep. Yeah, 210. He's, right. And of course, Delanie Walker's still going to, I mean, we can be talking about Matthews, talk about Corey Davis. And then this time next year, we'll be talking about how Delanie Walker caught 75 passes and led the team in reception. So that's just kind of what Tennessee is. They don't have Antonio Brown or DeAndre Hopkins by any means. So it's be interesting to see what Marcus Mariota can do. And obviously his legs are a differentiator.
Speaking of quarterbacks who have legs as a differentiator, Will Fuller, next up. He's going 30th right now, 10th pick, 6th round. Deshaun Watson there. I am not taking Will Fuller in any draft this year, I don't think. Very touchdown dependent. They drafted Kiki Kuti. Hopkins is there. I think that Watson's due for some regression. I'm just not taking him there. I'd rather have guys going later than him easily over Will Fuller, but then again, fantasy football, it's a weekly game, like I said, so he can get those 2 touchdown games and just carry you to a victory. What do you say about him, Dad?
Yeah, I don't like him either, but I don't see how you're saying Deshaun Watson's going to be you're saying he's not going to be good this year?
Deshaun, we'll talk about that in another episode. This is wide receivers.
I disagree with you there, but yeah, I'm staying away from Will Fuller.
What do you guys
think? Quick and easy. Well, I think he drops a lot of passes, but he is 24 years old, collarbone and rib fractures. So, outside of DeAndre Hopkins, there's not a ton of talent. I mean, Bruce Ellington's there. You have a decent tight end in Ryan Griffin. I think Lamar Miller's going to be a guy that'll get the ball 250 times. I think Deontay Foreman might start the season on the pup is in that equation. But look, let's see what Deshaun Watson is. And if Deshaun Watson is what we saw last season, if for a full season, we are going to see a lot of special. And there might be so much special that DeAndre Hopkins does his thing and Will Fuller does his thing. But Fuller's come off as a guy that's missed some games. He's missed games, and but there have been moments where he's looked really well. So he is spotty. I think he's very talented, but I'm hesitant.
Yeah, if Watson stays healthy, it could help him too.
Yeah, I think Watson had a really high touchdown passing rating of 9.3%. The NFL average is like 4%. Right. So you got to be some regression, I don't know. But then again, small sample size, we'll see. I'm not saying I hate Deshaun Watson. I think him going as a second quarterback off the board right now, that's a little pricey.
I don't know. I like that. Well, we'll get to that another time. All
right, next up, we're going to go, that's the 16 through 30, so we're going to go quick on 5 more guys going outside that could possibly go in the top 30 or finish there. Pierre Garcon, first off. Kyle Shanahan's wide receiver 1 usually builds well for history. He was on pace for 1,000 yards before injury. He would have been a wide receiver 25 without scoring a touchdown if he continued. I think it's going to change because touchdowns are not predictable, so I can see him scoring more touchdowns and getting 1,000 yards. He's going 31st. I'll take him over Will Fuller. I'll take him probably over Corey Davis.
There's a lot of targets to feed there, too.
Yeah.
Last year he had 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, like I said, he's still on pace to finish wide receiver.
I'm staying away.
Okay.
We got Dante Pettis coming in there, too. I'm staying away.
Yeah, they like Pettis. A lot of buzz around Dante Pettis, and I actually. It's tough to not like Pierre Garcon. I think he's a tough SOB. He's a tough SOB, and history says he's a pretty damn good wide receiver. You mentioned Justin the Shanahan marriage there. These guys know each other, so Garcon's going to be used. I think I like George Kittle in tight end circles. In terms of fantasy, but I think Marquise Goodwin is a guy we want to keep an eye on. Jimmy G leaned on him a little bit last season. 56 reception guy, close to 1,000 yards, and only a couple TDs. But it's going to be interesting because Pettis is going to be used. They're really keen on him in San Francisco. You have a veteran, Pierre Garcon, and you got Marquise Goodwin. I don't know that Pierre Garcon's going to hurt you, but there are more appealing names to me. But again, he keeps himself well conditioned. That is Pierre Garcon. So aside from last year missing 8 games, he's been pretty healthy. I don't see why Garcon can't be a 60 reception wide receiver. But again, we talk about some of these quarterbacks. Who is Jimmy Garoppolo? What do we know about him? The sample's too small, so who the hell knows? I mean, George Kittle could be the number 1 pass catcher in San Francisco, for all we know.
And what are your thoughts about Taylor there? Trent Taylor or Pettis? Who would you rather have this season?
I'm probably going to go Pettis. I mean, there's been a lot of buzz around Dante Pettis. So, but again, I mean, exactly, exactly. But they're going to be behind quite a bit. I don't see the San Francisco 49ers winning the NFC West. I think they're going to be better, but. So the game scripts will follow the pass. They'll help the passing game, obviously, but it's cloudy, and I don't know that. And Jerick McKinnon's another guy that who is Jerick McKinnon? We're optimistic about him. Who is Jerick McKinnon? So there's a lot of question marks.
Find out this year.
Oh yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, he's my
I really do.
favorite guy that I'm trying to get in every single draft this year. I don't know what it is about him. Every year is just one guy, and then this year he's my guy. All right.
He's looked good so far. It doesn't mean anything. It's June.
The beat reporters can write off the ad 90-yard touchdown. Whatever, no one's trying. That's what he is.
That's right.
Next guy I want to talk about, Devin Funchess. They drafted DJ Moore in the first round. You still got McCaffrey there. Greg Olson's going to get his. I think there's touchdown upside and room for growth, and it's also his contract year, so money is on the line. And Newton likes to throw in a tight coverage, and he is above average in those contested catch rates, and he gets rid on targets. I don't mind taking him where he's going as the 33rd wide receiver off the board. He's 24, so I don't know. That's my thoughts on him.
I'd rather take my chance on DJ Moore.
Yeah, he's going a little later, too.
Funchess had a lot of volume last year, but a lot of that's because Olsen was hurt.
Yeah.
And, they drafted a wide receiver as the first pick for a reason.
Yeah.
Who I'd rather take.
Funchess is not a sexy pick, but he can get his numbers.
He's been hit or miss. He'll have games where he does nothing, and some other games he'll have some points, but I'll take my chance with DJ Moore instead of Funchess there.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out in terms of touches, Carolina. I think that we have to like a guy like Devin Funchess. He's 6'4", 6'5", which helps a guy like Cam Newton, who's not always accurate. I tend to agree with what you said in terms of Greg Olsen being out. And Greg Olsen has been a fixture in this offense over the last 4 or 5 seasons. 75, 80 catches just about every season. So, but I do like Devin Funchess. If you're going to get a discount on him, I like Funchess. I tend to agree with the DJ Moore. He's a rookie. I think the Panthers are yearning for the next Steve Smith. I tweeted something about that earlier. DJ Moore might have been the most talented wide receiver in this class, but McCaffrey's going to have 80 receptions. if Greg Olsen stays healthy, there's 70 receptions. I know DJ Moore is going to be in the. So what's left for a guy like Funchess? I don't see why he can't play 16 games. He could do something similar than what he did last season, which is right around 60 receptions, over 800 yards, and where he's 6'4", he'll be a red zone presence for Cam Newton. I'm fine with Devin Funchess being my wide receiver 3, but and actually comfortable if he's my 3.
Yeah, I get on that. Next guy I want to talk about, Sammy Watkins. I love Sammy Watkins this year. He got paid. I hated him originally, like I said in the last episode, but hey, I'm back on him. He's going to be used in multiple spots, not just the X like the Rams did last year. 16.35 yards per reception since 2015. Only 70 targets last year. I think that increases this year. He's not a running back to wide receiver like Tyreek Hill was. He's a wide receiver. He's 25. New quarterback in the offense. I think he's going to see Sammy Watkins get open, and he's going to target him. If he can stay healthy, that's a better concern. What do you guys say about him, Dad?
Hey, they paid him $50 million for a reason. Yeah. I mean, he could be their top receiver. I mean, you got Hill, Kels, Hunt there.
You said you have Hill ranked 11th in your wide receivers, and I said you're crazy.
I said he could.
No, you have him ranked 11.
Who?
You have Tyreek Hill ranked 11.
Yes.
That's. See, there it is.
Watkins is extremely talented. There's some upside there. Pat Mahomes, we don't know a lot about him yet either, but
hey,
we'll have to wait and see.
What do you, I know Justin's high on Sammy Watkins. You go ahead.
I think I'm higher on Sammy Watkins than I am on Tyreek Hill. In terms of fantasy circles, you're now paying Tyreek Hill premium.
I'll agree Yes, I agree.
Kind of a one-trick pony in the sense where, he's a burner. From a defensive coordinator, I'm not going to let Tyreek Hill kill me like he did last season. He killed everybody. From a metric standpoint, he was pretty efficient, but he only had 100 targets. 75 receptions, 1,100 yards. I don't know that he'll do that again. Let's put it this way. He's not Antonio Brown in terms of route running. He's not Jerry Rice. He's 5'10", 185, and he flies. Can't teach speed, right? But like you said, $50 million, there's a reason why Sammy Watkins was paid that kind of money. He's 25 years old. The poor bastard got drafted by the Bills, so he had to suffer with that quarterback play. And in 2015, he was all right. I mean, if you saw Sammy Watkins at Clemson, he was special. Right? He was special. So, we mentioned a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. Who's Jimmy Garoppolo? Patrick Mahomes. I've made some bets with Patrick Mahomes, with Brad Evans, Yahoo Sports. People love Patrick Mahomes. I mean, and they're confident about Patrick Mahomes at this point. But the reality is, Patrick Mahomes is going to see Joey Bosa twice. He's going to see Von Miller twice a season. He's going to see Khalil Mack twice a season. Good luck, Patrick. Yeah, exactly. Good luck, buddy. And suppose he does perform well, which is all our hopes as fans. Who is he going to like Tyreek Hill, or is he going to like Sammy Watkins? I mean, I think Travis Kelce's going to do his thing regardless. I'm not going to pay the Travis Kelce premium, but we have to pay a premium now for Tyreek Hill. I want Sammy Watkins, 25 years old. He's in the middle of his prime. He's the more talented wide receiver than Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, from a wide receiver standpoint, in terms of routes. And Tyreek Hill to me is just one of these one-trick ponies, and I think he's going to be overdrafted. So give me Sammy Watkins later, or you avoid the whole situation, just so you don't have to deal with a headache and play the mystery game as to how Patrick Mahomes is going to perform. But I definitely like Sammy Watkins, and as a fan, I'd like to see him do well because I've watched quite a bit of him when he was at Clemson.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Take 100%. And there's 3 guys I'm going to list off. I'm going to have I'll go, my dad will go, and then you'll go, Justin. The guy who would you rather have over these other 2 guys. So the 3 guys I'm going to list off are Randall, Cobb, Jordy Nelson, and Emmanuel Sanders. So which one of these guys would you rather have? I'm going to pick Randall Cobb here. And the reason why is because Rodgers supports 2 top 24 wide receivers. He's currently going 34th. He's been in the top 24 twice before. I can see 8+ touchdowns. Nelson's gone. Why not? He was on posting wide receiver 2 numbers last year before he got hurt with Rodgers also getting hurt. He was still top 35. I like him. Dad, who would you pick out of those 3 guys?
Out of those 3, Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, wow.
He's a bounce-back candidate, especially with Keenum at QB. I mean, his targets declined each of the last 3 seasons, but that's because of poor QB. So I really like Emmanuel Sanders this year as a bounce-back candidate. I would take him over Cobb and Nelson.
All right. What about you, Justin?
I think it's pretty close between Emmanuel Sanders and Cobb, but I tend to lean Cobb. Aaron Rodgers is arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, right? And I had a friend of mine won $1 million on DraftKings a couple of years ago. He had a Packers stack with Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson. They both ate, and like Justin said, I mean, Cobb's a guy. I think he's been a little bit somewhat of a disappointment. I think the expectations were higher for Randall Cobb, but if he plays 16 games, he's going to be a 70 reception, 800-yard, 6-7 touchdown wide receiver, and that's fine outside of Cobb and Devontae Adams. I mean, now you start getting into guys like Geronimo Allison, and now Jimmy Graham is there, who I like as well. But
I love Jimmy Graham.
I know it's not a tight end show. I don't want to screw you up, Justin.
You think my dad started on some of his players he likes, he'll just go on and on about it. I like Jimmy Graham, not as much as him. I like Jamon Moore, who I'm interested in.
With Cobb. Cobb will be good because Nelson is gone. And Rodgers is Rodgers. I mean, I think Cobb will do well.
And the guy we didn't pick out of these 3, Jordy Nelson. What do you got to say about him, Justin?
More unknown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to. Well, I mean, I'm 35, so easy. But Jordy Nelson's only 33. I think something needs to be. Yeah, NFL old. Yeah. Unless you're Frank Gore or Larry Fitzgerald, but they're not. Those guys don't come around too often. Look, Jordy Nelson. We talk about Edelman, Tom Brady, and their rapport. Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers had the same thing going on. That nonverbal communication. But to me, it's, how is Jordy Nelson going to fit in Oakland? I mean, John Gruden Chucky's a smart guy, so I think if Jordy Nelson's healthy, the fact that he's a veteran can compensate for his age. Martavis Bryant, who knows what his story is. I think we can get Nelson at somewhat of a discount, and I'm certainly interested because of what he's done historically. I mean, he's no longer a Packer, so he loses his shine, and now he's in Oakland and he's 33. But it's guys like Jordy Nelson where we overlook because he's 33 and he's now in Oakland, and we'll gravitate towards Amari Cooper. But history says anything. I mean, Jordy Nelson, his upside has been about as high as anybody's over the last 10 years. And Derek Carr is no slouch, in my opinion. So this is based on when Martavis Bryant's suspended. I think Jordy Nelson gets a little bit of a bump, and I'm fine having him late because of who he is.
Yep, I agree with everything you just said. Carr is no slouch, but he's also no Rodgers. You seen Jordy Nelson struggle when Rodgers wasn't on the field? I mean, Carr's a good
all the time, yep.
Yep, Carr's a good quarterback, but he's not Rodgers. So I would still take Jordy Nelson late.
Yeah, I got him as a wide receiver 6 year today. So.
No Michael Crabtree. Crabtree's gone, right? So there's some targets that have to be made up for. So I think Jordy Nelson can be solid. He's not just going to. I mean, he's a damn good wide receiver.
Especially
so it's not.
Brian he could
Yep.
the whole year.
I think if Nelson's in the slot, it helps him out more too, which it could
yeah.
happen. Yeah. So
absolutely.
That's about it for wide receivers today we listed. Before you go, Justin, I want to say thank you, but could you give me one bust, one breakout, and one sleeper for this season? Who you personally on?
Oh, one bust. I'm going to go Tyreek Hill at his price. He's going to bust. I mean, God love him if he does what he did last year in terms of catching 75 out of 105 targets. I mean, that's a catch rate of well over 71%. So I do not like Tyreek Hill personally. A lot of people do. I like to swerve. So that's my bust. And now you want to did you want a boom now? Is that what you want from me?
Give me a boom.
Let me give me a second. I gotta think here. I don't want to be too. I don't want to. I like Allen Robinson.
We love bold takes. Bold takes all the way.
I do like Allen Robinson in Chicago, being the bona fide one there. A player. I do like a player in Jamison Crowder in Washington.
Yeah.
I think he suits what Alex Smith does well. I think Crowder can catch 80 passes, and you're getting him really, really late.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a sleeper, if you will. But it's only June, gentlemen. So there's going to be plenty of names. I also like Chris Godwin in Tampa Bay, but we heard what happened with Jameis Winston. Was another upstanding citizen. That's sarcasm. He's another goof. So yeah, give me some Chris Godwin. There are a list of names. I think Christian Kirk in Arizona could be a sleeper, and Keelan Cole in Jacksonville. Talk wide receivers all night, but Tyreek Hill will bust
I agree with that.
for the price that you're going to have to pay.
Higher than his ADP. You can't. I mean, it's
Just because I have him higher doesn't mean I'm taking him.
you have him.
And that's fine. Real quick, you talk about ADP. We can talk about ADP all day long and so forth. My boss at FootballDiehards.com, Emil Kadlick, runs a lot of these high stakes leagues in Vegas. When I say high stakes, you're talking about like $5,000, $10,000 teams, and the pros will reach. Yeah. They have no problem. They have zero problem reaching. So if some of these pros that are spending $100,000 on fantasy teams, like Tyreek Hill, round 2, they're going to get him, and they have no ifs or ands or buts. So it's like if you like your player, you go with them and you ride or die with them. I take what everybody says with a grain of salt.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it makes sense. And before you go ahead and just plug all your stuff. Let us know where we can find you at, what podcast you're doing, and all that.
On Twitter, I'm at Justin Lonero. And then my podcast is Football Diehards Podcast. I do that with Bob Harris, producer Kyle Dvorak. And I also work for Roto Grinders, manage their football Twitter handle there, which is daily fantasy content. They're kind of the epicenter for that in Nashville. But Football Diehards to the core, and we're somewhat of a new project.
Yeah,
trying to get some of
them. You guys, great podcast. If you guys want another podcast to listen to, go on over there and check them out. Good information. They keep it nice.
Appreciate that.
And it's nice, and also a great follow on Twitter. Very interactive. I found you last year, and ever since then, it's been really easy to communicate your thoughts, and you respond to basically everyone. So we like that.
I try to keep it real, dog. You know what I'm saying?
We hear you.
Try to keep it real. This was fun, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
It was a pleasure having you on here. We appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
We'll do it again soon. Again soon for sure.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, man. Anytime, man.
Okay.
All right, and that was our guest, Justin Lonero, to help us out with the wide receivers today. We hope you guys really enjoyed the episode. A little longer, but hey, we had a guest on. He gave you good information about every single player we talked about. Not much sound effects today. I didn't want to interrupt him and all that stuff, but hey, we hope you guys enjoyed. Rate the podcast 5 stars on iTunes. Write a review. We'll shout you out. And in the description below on YouTube and in the podcast, I'll leave details to how to enter into the subscriber league. What do you got to say, Dad?
Thank you, Justin, for being on our show. We appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Your good insight, good wisdom. You guys check him out on his podcast.
And his Twitter. He linked at
his
Justin
Twitter.
Lonero. Once again, follow us on Twitter at FatherSonFF. And we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And we'll see you with Tight Ends Part 1. No, Tight Ends, not Part 1. We'll do top 15 tight ends. We'll go over next episode. And we have more guests coming on the show soon. We can't wait to get into that. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Enjoy.
That's it.
How long was that episode?